The other interview I had this week was a naturalization interview for a client of mine who initially got her green card, conditional green card, based on marriage to her US citizen spouse. Um, Unfortunately, the marriage didn't last. So when the time came for her to file the 751 petition to remove conditions on residence, we had to file that petition requesting a waiver of the joint filing requirement because the marriage was no longer ongoing. Um, Luckily, my client had enough evidence to show that the marriage was genuine to begin with, and we had um, strong documents to show that the both spouses fully intended to establish a life together, even if ultimately the marriage was terminated. So her I-751 was approved by USCIS. And once she had been a permanent resident for the 5-year period, then she decided she wanted to apply for naturalization. So it was a straightforward case, no issues really. But the wrinkle in the case was that we got an officer who is notorious for being really mean for no reason that I can um, ever figure out why. Every time I've appeared before this particular officer, she's always been super hostile, especially towards attorneys. Maybe she just has it out for attorneys, but her her MO basically is just to kind of yell at clients and lawyers and come up with reasons to be difficult or to, not approve an application. So when I saw her call my client, I immediately thought, oh, well, this is not going to be pleasant. And it wasn't a pleasant interview, but I had prepped my client well beforehand, and she was able to remain calm and polite, even with the officer just kind of being in her face and just being rude, basically. I think it was the fact that my client was um, super courteous the whole time. And I think when the officer saw that there was no, um, that her behavior was not having any effect on anybody, she then finally said at the interview, okay, I'm going to approve your naturalization application. And also because that office in New York City happened to be performing same day swearing in ceremonies, she said, well, you can be sworn in today if you want to. So that's what happened. My client said, yes, I want to be sworn in today. And then minutes after her interview, she became a US citizen. So I guess my point is that no matter what kind of a case you have, some of the things that you can't really predict are what kind of officer is going to be conducting your interview, um, and to be prepared for it, right? If you have an attorney, then that's great because having an attorney is kind of some added assurance that the officer should be on their best behavior. Sometimes they're not, like the one that we had, but at least with me being there, I was ready to interject or say something if I thought the officer was really acting out of line. But you know, it just goes to show you that there's such an arbitrariness to the type of officer that you will get. The asylum officer who conducted my client's interview was the complete opposite. She was calm, she was nice, she was compassionate, and then the next day you have an officer who just for whatever reason has it out for immigrants and clients. So just to show you that the experiences can be completely different when you're dealing with a USCIS officer.